Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane. Savilasa Mahamohagrahagrasaika Karmane. Savilasa Mahamohagrahagrasaika Karmane. Then, Aneka Janma Bhajanat Swavicharam Chikirshati Vicharena Vinashtayam Mayayam Shishyate Swayam. So we saw the first line, what it entails to go through with this vichara also. Lot of punya has to fructify. First to get a human body, manushyatvam, and then to have the desire for this knowledge and to be free, mumukshutvam, and then to do something about that desire. What is that? Approach a teacher for this knowledge. Not for any other reason, but for this knowledge, one is study. For one is gets interested in the study. See, the word mumukshu means a general seeker of freedom. Seeker of freedom. And what is this seeker of freedom? The seeker of freedom is like, I want freedom from poverty. I want freedom from in-laws. This is the seeker of freedom. I want freedom from anything that I don't like. I want freedom from the boss, because the boss is not very nice. So this is the general seeker of freedom with which most people can identify, and while that's a good entry point into Vedanta, mumukshutvam, this mumukshutvam should be converted to jignasutvam. What is jignasutvam? The desire for knowledge. Yes. The mumukshutvam is converted to jignasutvam. So the desire for the general desire for freedom, like there is a generic desire. Yes, I want to be free. I can't handle it. I want to be free of all the annoying things outside. Outside means in the jagat. Then what? I want to be free of all the annoying things inside, in the form of the hold of various emotions. That is a general desire to be free, and while it is a good entry point, it has to be converted into the desire for knowledge. Otherwise, again, there is a hit or miss. Don't worry, one more life is there. Aneka Janma Bhajanat. Why is it missed? Because sometimes we miss the obvious. And what is the obvious thing? I don't know, and not knowing is the cause of my sorrow. So what is the antidote? I need to know. Go back to the example of the glasses perched on the head. So if you stand on one leg, or if you pray, or if you chant, all that will perhaps help clear the head. That I don't know, maybe it will do that. But the point is, the ignorance of the glasses is fixed by what? Knowledge of the glasses. That is exactly how it is. So if I am able to see the connection here, then from being somebody who generally wants to be free of this, that or the other, then what do I become? I become a one who is interested in the knowledge that gives this freedom. Because the knowledge and freedom are connected, karma, action and bondage are connected. Action gives rise to the notion of bondage, and karma, this knowledge, frees one from bondage. This I have to understand, and for some reason it becomes very difficult because one is a born doer. One has a lot of doership. Kartrutva buddhi is very much a friend of avidya. Ajnanam and kartrutva buddhi are married to each other. And it's a fantastic marriage because each one helps the other stay relevant. As long as I do not know the truth of myself, what do? I have doership. I want to be the author of more and more actions. Kartritvam is there. I am the karta aham, and the verses will talk about this. And then I have doership. And then what else as a result of this doership? As a result of this doership, I keep doing, and the doing becomes my undoing. How does it become my undoing? It becomes my undoing primarily because there is the more I do and the more I have to deal with the results of action, then what happens? The results of action are very much in limbo because I don't get what I want. I never get what I want. What I don't want, 3 helpings I get. This is karma. One's own karma is responsible for that, even though one thinks somebody else is responsible for that. What is responsible is one's own karma. And so therefore, this has to be understood. Mumuksha and jignasa, both desiderative nouns. Mumuksha, moktum ichha. I want to be free. A general feeling of bondage. And then that is honed into jignasa, which is what? It is converted into the desire for knowledge. Why? Because ajnanam is causing this sorrow, and so this ajnanam has to be taken care of. And this is what it means. Aneka janma bhajanat. It takes lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime to get to this place of loving the knowledge, of developing a love for the knowledge rather than developing a love for the results of action or developing a love for things in samsara. That's not going to help. That's just going to lead to more and more and more heartbreak, because anything that you have an obsession about comes to an end. It's all finite. So that obsession, that kind of a love for objects is a result of not knowing the subject, which is what? All love, which is love incarnate. That is what it is. And even bhakti is defined as love. According to Narada Bhakti Sutra, the first sutra, what does it say? Parama prema swarupa bhaktihi. It is of the utmost kind of love, the most unconditional and devotional love is called bhakti. And so this love that one seeks is already present. How do we know? Because the Shastra says so, and because one hungers after this love, not knowing that one is already sitting on that treasure chest. In the Drigdrishya Viveka, the Jagat is divided into 5 components. First 3, asti, first one, is, existence. Second one, bhati, it shines. Shines means it can be known. The power to know is there. Bhati, sentience. Then the third one is priyam. Asti bhati priyam. 3 components. But then we said 5 components. What are the other 2? Nama, name, word, rupa, meaning. Asti bhati priyam nama rupam etat panchakam. This quintet. Out of these 5 components, adyatrayam brahma rupam atodvayam jagadrupam atodvayam. So the first 3, adyatrayam, first 3 means what? Asti, bhati, priyam is not the property of the Jagat. Asti bhati priyam belongs to who? Brahman. Then what is the Jagat's contribution? Words, meanings, name, form. That is, which is inherently Jagat, is just name and form. Asti bhati priyam, the juice of the Jagat, belongs to who? Brahman. And so who is this Brahman? I. This I that I don't know and I need to understand. Asti bhati priyam, and then nama rupa. Asti means is. Isness. Is. So this isness is, there is only one source for this existence. Who is that? Atma. Atma is existent and everything exists after the Atma, meaning it borrows the existence from the Atma. That's why it is called Mithya. Mithya shines in borrowed existence. And Mithya has 2 definitions. What is the first definition? Adhishthana ananyat. That which is never separate from this isness, from Satyam. Wherever there is Mithya, there is what? Satyam. Yatra yatra Mithya, tatra tatra Satyam. So that's why we cannot dismiss Mithya as other than Satyam. Mithya is Satyam, ... but Satyam ain't Mithya. That you have to remember. So first definition of Mithya, adhishthana ananyat. Second definition of Mithya, sad asadbhyam anirvachya. That which cannot be categorically said to exist and that which cannot be said to be non-existent. We saw the examples already. Shirt, is it existent? Yes, because I am wearing it. If shirt was non-existent, everybody would be wearing emperor's clothes. Yeah, so shirt is existent, but then is it self-existent? No. What it is, its existence is of a dependent nature. Shirt depends on cloth. Is cloth self-existent? No. Cloth depends on yarn, yarn depends on thread, thread depends on fibers, fibers depend on cotton, cotton depends on cotton seed, cotton tree, and then finally Brahman. Everything depends on Brahman, that is the truth of everything. So Mithya means that which always leaves you guessing. Is it self-existent or not? And the answer is what? No, not self-existent. There's only one self-existent entity in the whole wide universe. Who is that? I. Don't say Brahman. You. You are that Brahman. Because you are the only thing in the world who does not have to ratify their existence. You don't have to prove your existence. Are you here? Yes. Even if you were to say no, that just means you want attention. That's all. That's all it is. So, this is what we have to see here. That there is only one thing in the universe that does not need proof. Therefore it is Satyam. And that which is Satyam is Asti. And what kind of a asti it is? Sentient asti. It's an asti that is sentient. It's a sentient existence. How do you know it's a sentient existence? How do you know? Because I don't have to think, am I sentient or not? Then we'd be in trouble. If I have to sit and think, am I sentient? Then we would be in a lot of trouble. Okay? Then people would slowly back away from you. Yeah. Okay, I'll see you another time. Have a good life. So, that self-existent sentience, you see how they are connected now. Sat Chit Ananda Satyam Jnanam Anantam. This is just another way of expressing it. Self-existent sentience. That sentience is self-existent, and that self-existence is sentient. It's not a dead Sat, it's an alive Sat. I am Sat, Sat means existence. Rock is also existent, but I am not like the rock, I am sentient. Sentient means what? I know, I am aware of my own existence, and then I am aware of the existence of everything else becomes evident to me. This is what is bhati, self-shining eye. And this self-shining eye is Brahman, all-knowing Brahman. Now. Up till here I was with you until you said what? All-knowing. This is where we have to part our ways, because I am not all-knowing. And if you keep sneaking in words like this, then the Vedanta is not going to become a reality for me. How do you say I'm all-knowing? Very simple. First we have to come to a nice definition of the word all. What is all? All the things I know that are there, and all the things I do not know that are there. Do you know that you know many things that are there? Yes. Do you know the things you know? Yes. Do you know that there are many things you don't know? Yes. That means you're all-knowing. Simple. Sarvajnaha. Generally speaking. If you have Bhagavan's upadhi, then you will know all the languages, then you will know all the people, then you will know everybody's karma. That you don't have. As the jiva, you are all knowing. Generally you know that you know, and you know that you don't know. So when you say, I know Greek language, not yogurt, okay? Yeah, I know Greek language. That means you are ascertaining your object of your knowledge. Then you say, I do not know Mandarin. What are you saying? I know that I do not know. And that know, I know that I don't know, that knowing never becomes don't know. Always I know. All knowing. Asti bhati. Second word which helps to throw the light on Brahman. A sentient existence which is what? Lovable. Priyam. Beloved. Now many things in the world are not lovable to me. Correct? Big spiders. Who loves, maybe some people who study, entomologists, insect people like that. Barring them, who likes things like scorpions, cockroaches, what else? Big spiders, all these things. Nobody likes. You can say, how can you say everything is lovable? And those other things on the walls, what are they called? Geckos. People are very worried about geckos. Poor things, they are just sitting there on the ceiling. You are at least 200 times bigger than them, if not more. And they look at you and go, That's what they go. Meaning, no hope for this jiva. So, and then the person is frightened of them. It is sitting somewhere over there. Ah, I can't stay in this room. Oh no! Evacuate it or evacuate me. Either it or me. We cannot coexist. So how can you say Priyam? Gecko is not Priyam. Cockroach is not Priyam. Scorpion, crab and all other biting things are not Priyam. Well, for somebody, somewhere they are Priyam. And then sometimes things are Priyam, lovable by their presence, and sometimes things are lovable by their absence. So, aren't you happy when you're far away from the gecko? Yes, Priyam, see? The gecko is lovable by its absence. And all kinds of creepy crawlies are lovable when they are far away. So you go to a zoo and then see the insect section and admire the gecko in its habitat. Where? Far away from you, and there is a glass divider between you and it. It's in an aquarium, like a glass box. And from there you can say hello, no problem. So, like this Priyam is amazing. This Priyam means it is lovable. What is the it that is lovable? You. You are the source of all love, but like a beggar, keep wanting to be loved because of Atma Ajnanam, which takes many lives to get ready for this Atma Jnanam. So, Asti Bhati Priyam Nama Rupa Etat Panchakam Adyatrayam Brahma Rupam Jagad Rupam Atodvayam. So, what is the Jagat? Dry Nama and like a dry, what is that? When you're sick, you have those things. What are they called? Crackers. Yeah. Crackers. No salt and then no taste. And it's the same difference if you open the box, throw away the crackers and eat the box. Same taste. Same exact taste. Okay? Tastes like cardboard. This is the Jagat. The Jagat is tasteless. Nissara, without juice. No, but I want juice. Raso Vaisaha. Taittiriya Upanishad. Rasagrhyevayam labdhva nandi bhavati. Who is the juice? You are the juice. You supply juice to the Jagat. The Jagat becomes juicy because of your presence. You supply the juice for the Jagat. You supply the happiness in the Jagat. You are the one that makes the Jagat interesting. Otherwise it tastes like crackers. Cardboard box. It tastes like cardboard. Jagat is dry, tasteless, without the presence of Brahman. The presence of Atma, you make the Jagat much more interesting. Now the cracker has got a topping. You put some almond butter, you put some peanut butter, you put some, what is that? Kakdi. What is that in English? Cucumber. You put some tomato, you put whatever you want. And then now it is very tasty, not just edible, but very tasty. So you are the topping. You are that which brings out the taste in everything. You are the rasa. Rasa means sara. The essence of everything is the Atma. But I don't know. That's why I try to milk the Jagat and get my fix of happiness from things in the Jagat. How has that worked out for you? Huh? I'm open to success stories, yeah. Not very well. It's like holding a stone and squeezing it and hoping some olive oil will come out of the stone. Any kind of oil. Why olive? Any oil. If I just press the stone, will the oil come? No. A stone does not have oil. No matter how much you press, the oil will not come. You are the one that has the juice. You are the one. That juice means ananda, happiness. Ananda is the juice. Happiness is the juice. Limitlessness is the juice. You make the Jagat much more interesting than it was before. But then, because of Atma Ajnanam, there is a transference. I think of myself as the cardboard tasting cracker. Yeah, if not cracker, crackpot, whatever it is, a crack. Yeah, so I think of myself as free of happiness, free of enthusiasm, hopeless, moping, sad individual, and then I want a contact high by going in the Jagat and trying to plumb for happiness from objects, situation, people, etc. Wrong pursuit. That's why aneka janma bhajanat. You see how many times we've had to do this before we understood the Jagat does not have happiness. The happiness is centered on me. There is a funny transposition. I think of myself as unhappy and then I try to make myself happy by associating myself with the Jagat and all the things and the people in there, and then that disappoints me even further. Alas, alack. What do I have to do? I have to give up this quest now. I have to give up this quest. Why do I have to give up this quest? Where has it led you? Dead end. So from one dead end, I go to the other dead end, then the third dead end. Then I become deadened to all possibilities, including Vedanta. So therefore, I have to see this, that it's like a dog and bone story. The dog is eating the bone, and the sharp bone makes the lips of the dog bleed. What does the dog think? What a juicy bone! Where is the juice coming from? Dog or bone? Dog, not bone. Bone is dry. Bone doesn't even have a single piece of meat on it. How can it be juicy? This is what one is doing. One is doggedly chewing on the Jagat, thinking it is juicy, when all it is doing is just giving you an ache, heartache, headache, all kinds of aches comes from a tryst with the Jagat. The tryst with the Jagat leaves you burnt, leaves you hopeless, leaves you in the doldrums, leaves you seeking, leaves you blaming everybody and everything else, including the stars, including the energies, including everything. It's always somebody else's fault. And therefore, it takes a lot of emotional maturity to look at what is being talked here. Therefore, Vairagya, let go of trying to get happiness out of Jagat. Because any object includes people that you objectify. Any object in the Jagat, what does it leave you? Disappointed. Anything. You see, you can look at it again and again and see the truth of this statement. Any object in the Jagat leaves you wanting. And before you came into this, what were you? A wanting person. And you continue to be a lacking, wanting person. And this wanting person is an imposter, because you are not a wanting person. You are full, you are free, you are glorious. Full, free and glorious, limitless. And as long as you keep making this mistake of going to the Jagat for comfort, relying on the Jagat for happiness, then this knowledge will always evade. This knowledge will not come. It will keep on evading because Anatma becomes bigger than Atma. And so therefore, Aneka Janma Bhajanat means gaining the emotional maturity to see that whatever objects of enjoyment, whatever I think are objects of enjoyment in the Jagat, are short-lived. They are short-lived. Even if you say, no, many things are long-lived, they are not short-lived. And I like this, what's wrong? I derive my happiness from chocolate cake. And you cannot deny me that. You cannot say, my own happiness is there and then that is what is coming out when I see the cake. That's exactly what is happening. No, I don't believe it. I don't accept it. It's not my own happiness. The happiness rests with the chocolate cake. I want to attain oneness with the chocolate cake, and then only I am happy when the subject-object difference goes. If somebody tells you like this, be prepared with the answer. Oh, but I don't know the answer. Don't worry, I'm going to give it to you right now. If somebody says this, all you have to tell them is the following. What do you say? Look, if you really think chocolate cake makes you happy, does it make you happy all the time? At first they'll be very defiant and say, yes, it makes me happy all the time. Give them the chocolate cake when they are in a bad mood. See if it makes them happy. It won't. They may eat it, but they'll eat it like that. What happened to the power of the chocolate cake to make them happy? Gone. Or give it to them when they have a terrible stomachache. Here, your favorite chocolate cake. No, I can't have this cake. Why? Because I'm taking care of ache. When I'm having ache, how can you give me cake? So, or give it to them. Third scenario, give it to them after they have already had 3 chocolate cakes. Yeah. Because if you love chocolate cake, you should love it any time, all the time that you see. They've already had 3 or 4 cakes, and yours is the 5th cake, and you say, no, come on, you love it. That's why I have, that's why I have brought it for you. And they will draw one green emoji. Yeah. Green face. What does that mean? About to vomit. Yeah. Take that thing away from me. I can't handle it. Take it away. I can't even look at it or smell it. So that means what? Chocolate cake is not the cause of your happiness. The happiness is you. And then since you do not know it, what do? You rely on your raga and dvesha to keep producing the happiness of a very ephemeral nature. So you think by engaging in the raga dvesha, by engaging in something or the other, what will happen? You will get some kind of you will milk a little bit of happiness from fulfilling your desire. True, you can milk a little bit of happiness, but the happiness still rests in you. But you have taken the prop of the desires to get the happiness to manifest. The unmanifest happiness is you. Why is it not manifest? Because one is crying. Why is one crying? One is crying because one doesn't know that. One is upset because one doesn't know that. If you know that, then you're sitting on a treasure chest of happiness. You just have to understand that. And that understanding itself is the vision of Vedanta. And this comes after many lifetimes. And so, if this much is understood, we can go to the second line, and then it says, Vicharena vinashtayam mayayam. So, with the help of this kind of an enquiry, the Maya, what is Maya? Avidya. What is avidya? Thinking that the world can make me happy, thinking that such and such a person can make me happy, thinking that I have to be with this object, I have to be with this person, I have to have this kind of a thing in my life. That is the cause of my happiness. This is Maya. So in the wake of vichara, in the wake of self-enquiry, in the wake of studies of texts such as this, very beautiful text this is, what happens? Maya is destroyed. Avidya is destroyed. Avidya is destroyed means what? The wrong thinking is destroyed. The dependency on all kinds of things, objects, people, relationships. That's why people continue in dysfunctional relationships. Because somehow they feel addicted to it, thinking that it will give me some happiness somewhere, sometime, somehow. All that drops in the wake of this knowledge, and suddenly one understands, I am Asti Bhati Priyam, I am the source of happiness, I am Ananda. So, Vinashtayam Mayayam means this whole Jagat, which is a spoof, which supposedly fulfills all my desires, but really does not. This Jagat, from this Jagat I take a divorce. From samsara I get divorced, because otherwise the patterns are wedded to the Jagat, the patterns are wedded to samsara. So from this samsara I de-link, and then I see that I am whole, free, non-wanting person. Advaya, Purna, Ananda, Para-Atma. This is who I am, I see. Vinashtayam Mayayam. When that wrong connection to the Jagat is snapped, then what happens? I can appreciate the people objectively. I can appreciate everything objectively. I can enjoy the Jagat objectively. Wait a minute, does that include chocolate cake? You bet. Yeah, that also you can enjoy objectively. You can enjoy everything objectively without getting dependent on it. And when that happens, what happens? Shishyate swayam. Swayam shishyate. So when the Maya is destroyed in the wake of the knowledge, all that remains is you. In the Viveka Chudamani also, this particular prakriya, methodology, which I will talk about, is deployed. What is this prakriya? This is called Anvaya Vyatireka. And this Anvaya Vyatireka, A and B, two things are there. When A is there, B is there. When A is not there, B is still there, and therefore A is not the cause of B. This is Anvaya Vyatireka. What is A? A is there, Jagat is there, and then B, Brahman, is there. Jagat is not there, Brahman is still there. Therefore, Jagat is not the cause of Brahman's happiness, Jagat is not the cause of Brahman's existence, Jagat is not the cause of Brahman's sentience. It's the other way round. So through this Anvaya Vyatireka, through this Anvaya Vyatireka also means letting go. This operation of this particular methodology means letting go of all the things that do not belong, starting with the body. So what do you let go of? Everything that comes and goes, you let go of. Does the body come and go? Yes. Why is it taking so long to say? Because I think it's already gone. So, does the body come and go? Check. Yes. So I don't take this into consideration. I do not count it in this. And then, does the mind come and go? Oh, it went away long back. Mind also I do not take into consideration. Do the senses come and go? Yes. And so what is left? After negating all these things, what is left? Somebody said nothing. And you know who it was? A student in the Viveka Chudamani said, the teacher told him, you have to do this Viveka. Asti kaschit swayam nityam, the teacher said, panchakosha vilakshanaha, asti kaschit swayam nityam, aham pratyaya lambanaha, avasthatraya sakshi, san panchakosha vilakshanaha. Said, look for that which remains after everything is negated. Oh Guru, what should I negate? Asti kaschit, there is something, swayam nityam, which is not dependent on anything else, which is self-standing, which is independent of everything, which is constant. And how do you recognize it? It rides on the I thought. It is made evident through the I thought. I am, I am, I am. It's the content, the truth of the I thought is this Sakshi. It's the Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. It is different from the body, the prana, the mind, the 5 koshas. And then it is the witness of sleeping, dream and deep sleep states. The student was told to do this enquiry. What did the student do? Student went and did the enquiry, and he came back and said to the teacher, I'm having a panic attack. What happened? I've negated everything and nothing is there. OMG, there is nothing there at all. That's why I'm panicked. Because until Vedanta, at least I had a tiny complaining self. But now, in the wake, supposedly, in the wake of this knowledge, even that tiny complaining self has gone, oh Guru. And the teacher says, you're on the right track. Yeah, the teacher is very compassionate. You're on the right track, my dear fellow. You've just missed a few steps. What have you done? You've done a misstep. What is the misstep? You have negated the negator. Can the negator be negated? No. Negator alone cannot be negated. After everything is negated, the one who is negating remains. Shishyate swayam. That alone remains. The negator remains, and the content of the negator, the truth of the negator is what? Asti bhati priyam sat chit ananda para atma advaya purna ananda. That is what remains. So get to know this self. Get familiar with this self. Have an appointment with yourself. To be able to abide in the self, first you have to know this self. And what is this self? This self is that which is not dependent upon the body, not even on the prana, not on the senses, not on the mind. And that which is as though being housed in this encasement called the body-mind-sense complex, which is at once free of the body-mind-sense complex, which is the witness of the body, of the mind, of the senses, which is the witness of everything. And then this alone has to be seen as I. This is a very big shift. Usually what is seen as I? Body is I. Body is I means what? Any ache and pain in the body, I am in pain. Prana is I, is the cause of anxiety. And then, what else? Senses are I. I can't see, I can't hear, I can't do this. And then what? I am blind, I am lame, I am deaf. Wrong identification. Mind is I. Mind is I means total sorrow. Sorrow comes, sorrow goes, sorrow rides on Ananda. Ananda alone allows the sorrow to project and then resolves. Ananda means what? Happiness. That happiness alone projects the sorrow. So the sorrow doesn't belong to me. It is an expression of a long time hurt. I have to take accountability. I have to take responsibility for that. It's an expression of a long time hurt because of which I am in this situation. And that hurt can be taken care of. That hurt can be soothed by practicing so many of these tips we have been talking about, by being the adult and taking care of the child. Instead, what do we want to do? We want to give the child to somebody else to babysit. Here, I can't stand it, you take it away. You take it, make it feel good. Not going to happen. Nobody else wants your child, inner child. Why? They have plenty of their own. They don't have time to babysit your inner child. They have plenty of their own inner children that they are also trying to see who to give to. You have to take care of it. And then you see that all this is negated. I am not my emotions. This is a very big thing. Otherwise we take the emotions too seriously and make them enthrone them, put them on the throne, put a crown on them and make them into the reality, and they run you ragged. Emotions are not you. Your body itself is not you. Emotions are not you. Mind is not you. Prana is not you. Oh, then I am zero. No, you're not zero. Why? Because you cannot negate yourself. What is left is pure consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanya. All that is there is consciousness without attributes. The attributes come and go. The attributes are as though the consciousness simply is. All that is left is consciousness. Nothing else is left. And that consciousness I have to own up as I. That's why japa. That's why contemplation. Especially if you've started to study Vedanta and you're studying for a long time, contemplation is very, very much needed. Because when you start, what is contemplation? When you start looking at the words that you have studied, and then you keep replaying them and seeing the meaning of the words in your mind. I am Paramatma, I am Advaya, non-dual. I am it, I am everything. I am full, Purna. I don't lack anything. I'm not a wanting person. I don't need anything and anybody at all. I'm not a wanting person. I'm not centered on some lacks. And then I am Ananda. I am of the nature of limitless happiness. This is who I am. You keep seeing the meaning repeatedly, again and again and again. And along with the teaching, this seeing the meaning repeatedly enhances the assimilation of the teaching, so that even though sometimes what happens, we have this very strange condition where you say, I know I am Brahman, ... but I am not behaving like Brahman. I know I am Brahman, but I get angry. I know I am Brahman, but I am sad. I know I am Paramatma, but I am angry, miserable, upset, sad, incomplete, whatever it is. This gap between the knowledge and the assimilation requires what? It requires the dismissal of viparita buddhi or viparita bhavana, oppositional consciousness, oppositional awareness. Meaning, I know I am Brahman, but in my daily life, I don't behave like Brahman at all. This gap is so Nididhyasana does not produce knowledge. What does it do? It removes wrong identification. This is a must for all. Simple things you can say. You can tailor it to your own patterns. If you are the kind that gets involved in everybody's life, and all the time you can say asangoham, asangaham, asanga female, asangaha male. Asangaham, I am uninvolved. Because that is the nature of the Atma. I am uninvolved. Asangaham. And sometimes people feel, I'm just not a good person. I have so much impurity. I have ragadvesha. I have all this. Then you can say, Shivoham. Shivaham. Shivaha aham. Shiva means auspicious. I'm not unlucky. I'm not inauspicious. I am pure. Shivoham. And supposing somebody feels kind of dead inside, the whole life is routinized, more of the same, more of this, more of that, more of this, that, boring, boring, boring. Chidananda Rupaha Aham. Chidananda. I am that Chit, I am alive. Even though I may feel dead in the everyday life, I am alive. And that aliveness is Ananda alone. Chidananda Rupoham. And suppose somebody has this is for the opposite problem than being involved with everything. If you're involved in everything, you say Asangoham. If you're feeling uninvolved with everything, you say Chidananda Rupoham. Advayaham. I am non-dual. I am one with everything. These are all simple things. Purnaham. Purnoham. These are all simple affirmations that you can do on a daily basis to help yourself as you progress in this knowledge. These affirmations this is not the practice of Vedanta. There is nothing to practice. The knowledge, you are in the process of knowing, the knowledge has taken place. But there seems to be a gap between the knowledge and me. Why? Because the me that I am familiar with is going into the old patterns of wrong identifications with the body-mind sense complex, and it has to be extricated and walked over to Brahman. This opposite idea, habitual orientations, the habit patterns of what was there before the knowledge. Before the knowledge, I was given to drama. Now I am only into Rama, but sometimes drama still comes. What to do? Nididhyasana. Repeated, looking at the truth of yourself. After studying something like this, you have the words. You can help yourself with the words. They don't have to be Sanskrit words. You can make them into English words. Or in any language that you speak, you can translate those words into those languages so that you can be free. You know that you are not just this thing. Otherwise, what will happen? This gap will be there, and then what? Then the question will come in satsang. I know I am Brahman, but how to experience it? You are experiencing it all the time. All the time you are experiencing it. Like that person who was sitting next to Swamiji in the small flight from New Delhi to Dehradun. One big gentleman came and sat. One half of him was in Swamiji's lap, and he also took that handle between. He had to, because otherwise he would have overflowed from the seat. He was a big man, and then he took the handle, and then after that, it was a short flight, 45 minutes, whatever. And then he put his hand in the pocket, and he says, "You must be knowing all the holy men in Rishikesh." Swamiji said, "I know a few." "Well, I am coming to see this Swami." And then what was on the piece of paper? Swami Dayananda. Was he experiencing Swami Dayananda or not? Yes, very much. Whether he was experiencing or not, poor Pujya Swamiji was definitely experiencing him. Yeah, it was practically in his lap. It's not for want of experience that one suffers, it is for want of knowing. Swamiji could have surprised him and said, yeah, I know him very well. And this is his address, please come. But Swamiji decided to tell him, I am Swami Dayananda. So, like this. So when this knowledge, it's not that one is lacking experience. There is an experiencer behind everything, behind the sorrow, behind the joy, whatever, the content, the truth of I am not the experiencer. I am not the doer. I am the truth of the doer. I am the truth of the experiencer. I am the content of the experiencer. This we have to understand. How? We will see that tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.